Welcome to the Leslie Hawkins podcast. Each week, my guests and I discuss one pivotal moment in their life, what they learned from it, and their words of wisdom. So when was the last time you asked yourself, am I happy? Like truly happy? Our guest today asked that question 16 years ago, and he didn't like the answer. So he did something bold. He defied convention and changed everything. His personal life, his professional life, his lifestyle. This is a story of his journey of self-discovery, of how one daring phone call to Bell Media became a template for success across the entire sports broadcasting industry, of how surrounding himself with the right people kept him grounded, and of how he's come to define what true happiness really means. This is an episode about courage, reinvention, and choosing a life that actually feels good. So welcome to the Leslie Hawkins podcast. I am so excited to have a dear friend of mine with us today. This is Mark Zecchino. So if you don't know Mark, you will after this, I promise you. He has a long resume, but I'll touch on some highlights and I'm sure you can add things that I forget. So first and foremost, he is host and executive producer of Golf Talk Canada, that's on TV and radio. He is a play-by-play announcer on PGA Tour Radio on Sirius XM. He is a former rep for Augusta National and the Masters broadcast, which if anybody's a golfer, you know that is the Mecca for sure. He is also a member of the TSN Sports broadcast team for all of the golf majors, of which there's 4, and it's incredible coverage. He is also an ambassador for TaylorMade Golf, for Adidas Golf. He is an avid, like seriously avid golfer. And I hear you are also PGA Tour Live on ESPN.
Yeah, hosting that. And
you're a golf course record holder.
Yeah, and a panelist for the Golf Digest Top 100 program. And like we were joking off the air after all of that, which are all active things. Happily married somehow, because that sounds like a guy who's work obsessed.
Yeah, a little bit. So golf course record?
Yeah, so that's many moons ago. So unfortunately, I don't get to. I still have a decent game. I'm still bouncing around between a 0 and +2 handicap, depending on what time of the year you catch me. If it's in the winter, funny enough, my handicap will probably move and sneak closer to +1, +2 because I have time to play golf.
Right.
Usually kind of get out of the winter, buckle down somewhere for 3 or 4 weeks, and that's the golf season. And you string a couple of weeks together and the handicap kind of moves, kind of settling in there. During the summer, I'm playing 9 holes 3 times a month, like on a Tuesday night. There's no practice involved, so it's kind of hard to keep the edges sharp and whatnot. Right. So I think my factor is like a +0.1 right now, so almost 0.0. Scratch on. Yeah, but what you're referring to there is I'm a member of the Toronto Hunt Club, which is a great 9-hole,
incredible facility.
Wonderful spot east of downtown Toronto, and funny enough, for a 9-hole golf course, they consider the course record 9 holes off blue, 9 holes on black for 18, which I still can't get my head around why we don't have a 9-hole course record. That's a whole other podcast, Les.
Exactly.
And 63 was the number, which was And a couple of years ago, I had my career best, not a competition, but went to 10 under at Tobacco Road in North Carolina, which is one of my favorite venues if you ever get a chance to go play Tobacco Road. Underrated golf course, so much fun. But I'm also like really capable of shooting 82 at any time. Like seriously, and is that not golf, right?
That is absolutely golf.
And I'm a streaky putter who gets yippy, and homemade golf swing. So when you put all these things together, right? Homemade golf swing, yippee putter. You can go 4 under or 4 over, like that, like in a blink of an eye.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the downside with golf is if you're not practicing, if you're not playing all the time, it can go in a heartbeat. But see, I'm super jealous. I'm like the worst days.
I'm one of those guys where if I'm not golfing, if I'm not playing, but I'm able to practice and hit balls, I can probably still be okay, like be right there. You take the practice away from me,
Right.
which is like our current schedule for Golf Talk Canada and PGA
Right.
Tour Entertainment and everything else. It's like, I couldn't tell you the last time I was able to like block
Right.
like a 3-hour block of I'm going to do a range session, going to do some chipping, going to do some putting. Not going to see the first tee, but just going to like, or doesn't exist. It just doesn't happen unless it's December.
Exactly.
So if you want to practice in December, we should get together.
So I'll be honest with you, the driving range, the practicing, that's like a 4-letter word for me. There is no part of my game that is spent on the driving range. I despise that part. I'm like, I'll figure it out on the course. Which is
Well, I've
probably
never
why
seen
I shoot in the mid-80s and you don't. You
I've
shoot
also
much
never
lower.
seen you miss a fairway.
Well, that's true.
Like we're going on multiple decades. We won't say how many decades,
Yes.
but we're going on multiple decades
Yeah.
of our relationship
Exactly.
and friendship. And by the way, you have always been not just a leader everywhere you've gone. I've known you in so many different roles, and you've always been top of class everywhere you've gone. We've been a great supporter and a great friend. So I'd like to immediately acknowledge the fact that you're probably going to do the same now in your new venture.
You're so kind.
But during all of that, I have yet to see you miss a fairway. Honestly, I think we've played probably, 16 to 18 rounds of golf
Probably.
over multiple decades
Yeah.
in multiple different locations.
Yeah.
Sometimes friendly, sometimes corporate, sometimes event. Never missed a fairway.
So what you're not mentioning though is like once we have to hit the iron shot and then the short game. The short game is where the practice, I think.
It's where you need to spend some time with
I
me,
do, yeah.
just hanging out on
I know.
We'll bring drinks. We'll make it social.
Okay, drinks and music.
And then we'll still get some work done.
Exactly.
There you go. All right.
So you did say we have known each other for literally decades, and we first met when I was at Cobra Golf and you were at Dynamic Golf, which is so crazy.
Yeah.
Because I was
19.
Yeah.
And
I won't-
I'm 50. So
Yeah. Okay. So I was like 24, and I'm not 50.
Okay, I just celebrated 50.
Very nice.
So
That's awesome.
yeah.
It has been amazing because our careers within the golf industry have sort of grown in parallel, and it's amazing to have a front row seat to watch your career develop and see what you're doing, and all of the things you're doing now are like, it's crazy. As you said at the beginning, it's amazing that you are still married because you are always on the road, you're always busy, and you don't take a moment to breathe. But thank goodness you have an incredible wife, so you're all good.
Having a good support system starting right there with whoever your partner is, significant
Yes.
other, is, I think, frees you up to be a bit of a lunatic. And it has to be like an honest, it can't just be support.
No.
It's got, because she would be the first person to say, you're doing too much.
Yes.
You need to carve out some time.
Right.
Or I see you having an episode.
Yeah.
I'm a constant control freak. I'm really bad at
Okay.
delegating, and I don't. If anybody really knows me, the biggest compliment I could ever give a human being is the fact that I actually let you do something, and I don't ask you a million follow-ups, and I don't try to micromanage it.
Right.
And I would hate to work, I would never work for me. Because the reason that got me out, I've never really dove back into the corporate world,
Yes.
is because to get into a system with all these checkpoints and
Right.
balances and micromanage, I would lose my mind.
It's not for everyone.
Totally out. I couldn't do it. But that's me with other relationships. So having an honest significant other who can call you out on your BS, tell you when you need to do this. Someone where you're splitting up responsibilities, because life is bigger than just work, right?
Absolutely.
That's huge. Adam, I'm
Yes.
really lucky to have Adam and Bob
Right.
on Golf Talk Canada. They take full ownership of the show.
So
I don't, when I have to turn it off because I'm under the headset for 7-8 hours at a time, I don't flinch at all ever if
Right.
the machine is still going and we're doing what we're supposed to be doing and we're fulfilling obligations in the interviews and we're broadcasting, all the things that go on with Golf Talk Canada, I don't flinch.
Okay.
Because and I don't know, I've probably never told this to Bob before. So Bob, if you're listening or watching, I always thank Bob. He knows how important he is. But I don't think I've ever told Bob how much of a big deal it is for me personally to be able to let go and like actually trust that that's going to happen. So he's probably might be hearing this for the first time. Yeah. Adam Scully, on the other hand, I've told him multiple times of what a blessing he is and how huge it is for me. And I've had other long time, childhood friends. I just mentioned turning 50. My best friend in the world also turned 50 at the same time. So we kind of did this golf venture together, on a golf trip to St. Andrews, which was awesome. But he knows Scully, or has met Scully through the years, and he has reiterated to Adam on golf trips before. Do you know what kind of a lunatic you're working with, and what it takes him to just go, I trust you.
I trust you. You've got this.
And to have that there, and I still, still to this day, my dad. My father's 82. He introduced me to the game of golf. Amazing. And to this day, there's still an honest soundboard, a bouncing board there, an honest one, who has your, first thing foremost, they want to support you.
Right.
But it's not sugarcoat. No. It's not at all cost. It's like, no, we're going to give you the information. Be honest, because that's what's good for you.
Right? Exactly.
So it's good. I'm very lucky to have those people.
That's great.
Yeah.
Because you do a lot. So the podcast is built and anchored on a question, which is, what is one pivotal moment in your life? And we all have, through our personal life, professional life, these moments that sort of stop us in our tracks, force us to re-energize, reboot, whatever it may be. And I believe that we can sort of, as we look back on our life, no matter how long or short it is, that there's a moment or there's a key time where you can say, okay, that was sort of the moment that I stepped into who I am. So let me ask you, what would be your pivotal moment in your life?
It was a moment that kind of started in a period. I would have been around 33, so this is around 2009, if my memory serves correct. Is that right? 2008, 2009, in there.
Yes.
And you mentioned I was working as a rep for the Augusta National Broadcasting Canada. We were also working with the PGA Tour. And I was very lucky. We have mutual friends. I was very lucky in the late 90s to meet a couple of guys who became friends, where I got to kind of get into the media side of golf. Because I've been in the golf business since I was 15 years old. And I have touched it from every possible angle.
Right.
And my first venture into the media landscape was from behind the camera, behind the microphone, in the marketing, in the advertising, in the sales, in the broadcast side of things with Augusta National and the Masters. And the company I was working for at the time were going, you could see that they were going to go through some changes. The changes were coming on the horizon. And I started asking a question that I never really asked myself before. And you got to be careful, right? Because you ask these questions, and then if you answer them honestly, they can open up like Pandora's box.
Right.
And you might not be ready for that. If you're being true, right? That's the thing too. I mean, if you're going to be honest and true to yourself and to the question that's being answered. And I asked myself just this general question, which I don't think people ask themselves very often. And also, I mean, some people don't have the luxury. Like, we live in a very chaotic time. Everything's expensive. Everybody's wondering where this economy actually is or isn't, and
agreed.
Both sides of the border, relationships. I mean, it's chaos.
Right.
And do you have the time to sit back and go, am I happy? Sounds funny, right?
Sounds like such an easy question, but it is not.
So I think I asked myself that.
Okay.
I think I asked myself that in 08, 09, are you happy? If your life ended tomorrow, this is going to sound really big. This is also going to sound egotistical, and it's not, because I suffer from a lack of confidence all the time.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Right.
Okay.
And I come across as something very different because I'm an extrovert.
Right.
But my comfort is in being an extrovert. I am uncomfortable in silence and being alone.
Okay.
So people, I think, mistaken that for outer confidence. But now, many moons down the road in broadcast, I'm very confident in my broadcast abilities now because of what I've put myself through with PGA Tour radio. Because if you do, we'll get into that later. If you do PGA Tour radio, you can handle any broadcast position in the world. It is the best team in the world, and I'll explain why later. But to get back on point, are you happy? If I died tomorrow, would you be proud of the person you are, the relationships you've had, work, achievement? Like, these things all started coming out of nowhere for no
big
questions. But it started with, are you happy?
Okay.
And then the Pandora's box of everything, no. Like a big no.
Ouch.
Previously married.
Yes.
Not that person's fault at all. It takes two to tango in
100%
everything.
Yeah.
Plus, you make those choices of who your partner's going to be because society tells you you're doing it at 20, whatever. Well, Mark Zecchino at 50 versus Mark Zecchino at 25 are completely two different human beings.
Yeah.
And what you want from life and what you want from a partner, what you want from a support system, and what you deem to be success and happiness have completely changed.
Yes.
Yet life asks you to ask yourself those questions, make those decisions way too early.
Way too early.
So I started saying, no, not happy professionally. No, not happy personally. No, not happy with the way I've lost certain relationships that were important to me. And all these big no's. And that's my moment, to your point, where it was, okay, so you're 33.
Yeah.
Do you have it in you to change all of this? And I literally did. It wasn't like a professional thing or a personal thing or that. It was everything. I went on what do you want to do with the rest of your life professionally? And if you didn't make a sausage, if you didn't make $1,
right,
what do you want to do where you think people might remember what you did and you might have been able to leave something for somebody?
Right.
And that's where I started getting into, okay, well, if I can sell other people's content and you believe there's an opening in the Canadian landscape for better golf content,
yes,
then why can't you sell your own content?
Okay.
So that starts the Golf Talk Canada wheels in motion, which at the time were not Golf Talk Canada. We didn't even know what it was. But that starts that in motion. And then okay, well, if you're going to do this, you got to be happy, and you got to be happy at home, and you need a partner. And if you don't have a partner, you just do it. But you're better off alone than you are being pulled away from other things that you want to do and being miserable in your personal life. So, okay, there's that decision, right? So it ends up being, we're changing everything. And do you have it in you to do all of this right now? And that was
And there's a school
scary.
of thought. Yeah, that is scary.
Yeah.
Because there's a school of thought that says you change one thing and then you change another. But you never do it all at once. And you totally flip
all
the
at
script.
once, and I'll throw another one at you too. It also started a weight loss journey, which I never talk about because I felt unhealthy. It wasn't a vanity play. It was, I played a lot of competitive hockey when I was younger. It was my first sport before golf. I never talk about this, right? I played on MTHL AAA teams, MTHL AA teams, made all-star teams.
You're a true Canadian.
Yeah. Provincial playdowns. I went deep to the hockey hoop.
Okay.
It wasn't until around 16, 17 that golf truly became a shift in focus, right? So I think when you're not happy, I'm speaking for me personally, and I'm probably speaking for a lot of other people out there too that could probably relate to this, but when you're not happy and things aren't good, you hide in different ways. And I think for me, food was a crutch. And after burning, 7,000 calories a day because you're a full-time hockey player, for most of your teenage when I got in my early 20s and I was not working out.
Yes.
And I saw, and then I got, and then by the time I got to 25, 26, and those other things started creeping into my life, I started like getting really unhealthy.
Okay.
So I said, part of my brain went, okay, if you're going to do all of these things that we're talking about, you're going to need the energy to do those things. You're going to need the confidence to do those things, which have always been question marks, like, are you good enough to do this? But like, I don't know. And part of that was, okay, you're going to get healthy and you're going to feel better about yourself. And it's something I fight still to this day. I am on a diet 3 or 4 times a year, all the time. It's not, the diet's not the right way of saying it, because I'm always watching it. But it's a focus like, okay, you had a big summer of big Brunellos, and you went to the pasta way too many times than you should have, and you're 6 pounds above where you want to be. So before that becomes 16, now.
Here we go.
So there's this discipline and constant relationship with it that is exhausting.
Yes.
And it gets harder as we get older, our metabolisms and the time to focus on that. As you like, how do you even carve out time to even pay attention? Living out of a suitcase, in hotel rooms and lobby bars and airport lounges, hard. Oh my God,
really hard.
And my partner has superpowers, right? She can eat whatever she wants. You can have flying, you can have like X-ray vision.
Yes.
You can take shooting webs. You can have all those superpowers. I'll take hers. Large pizza, chocolate sundae, blah blah blah. Same weight as the day we met.
Okay.
I mean, if I didn't love her, I'd probably strangle her because I'm so jealous,
be like,
right?
Come on.
Yeah, that's what I want. So, all these things happened. All these things, to your point, did them all at once. 33, all at once. And it took about a year to go through the storm.
Yes.
And I remember like speaking to, because there was some, obviously, even though you're not in a great relationship, and even though you want to change and all this stuff, there is some sadness to this, right? Like there's a sadness to, I failed, I wasn't a good partner, I was faking it at work for the last 6 months. Like you go through all these things where you're like, you feel bad about the loss.
Yes.
And then you're scared of all these big steps. And I had a therapist once say to me, when you stand at the bottom of a staircase, it's the only thing that ever stuck with me. I think I went to and I'm not, by the way, I'm not squashing therapy. I think therapy's wonderful, and if people want to go, and I went 2 or 3 sessions during that period of my life because of all this loss, and I just, there were times where you doubt, right? And you're not feeling good, so you went, you talked to somebody. But the only one thing that ever stuck with me, and she was fantastic, and she said, Mark, when you stand at the bottom of the staircase, do you look at the top of the flight of stairs to the landing, or do you just make the first step?
Right. So visual.
Just make the first step.
Right.
Don't project to the landing. It's too much. It's too big. It's too overwhelming. Make the step, and then and if it takes 2 days to make the second step, it takes 2 weeks to make it. Just keep making the step.
Right.
And through that process was like a year and a half.
That's pretty good.
Some parts of my life advancing quicker than others, but all of it moving step by step. Yeah. So to answer your question, that's a big moment.
Big moment.
It's a big moment.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
And as you're going through this, there wasn't one salient moment necessarily. So there wasn't necessarily one trigger of I did this and therefore.
It's funny because I've been thinking about that since you and I chatted a couple of weeks ago about getting together and doing this. I was trying to think, was there a particular argument or day at work? And I can pinpoint in my mind about 4 or 5 days.
Okay.
That were triggers.
Yes. Okay.
And they were 4 or 5 days, and it's stuff I already knew. But it was what was the push? What was the shove you needed?
Right.
And it's funny because we're talking about all these lanes, and there is 4 or 5 days over about a 4 to 6 month period in all these different lanes where I remember that was the day I decided I'm not doing this for a living anymore.
Right.
That was, whether I did it subconsciously or consciously,
Right.
I know now that was the day because of the way it's so vivid to me all these years later.
Right.
That was the day I decided I needed a change in my marriage and my relationship at the time. That's the day I decided I'm tired, I'm sick of like the way I feel in the morning when I get up, I'm 33, my back's broken, what are you doing?
Right.
So I have those days.
Yeah.
I just didn't, like, until you asked me the question and I had to do some reflection.
Yes.
I didn't really realize that there were days, but I can actually go to them now and actually, in my mind, start checking boxes. But it led to a much bigger moment, which was the day I asked the question.
Yes.
Right? Are you
Which
happy?
is an incredible question.
Yeah.
Which I think most people, wouldn't ask, and if they did ask, wouldn't necessarily want the answer. Because if you get the answer, and the answer is no, if you're being really, really honest with yourself, most people would say, oh, well, that might be the case, but let me talk about all the excuses of why I'm just going to stick it out, and I'm not going to, because there's all the risks. So in your case, you had the risk of marriage, the risk of employment, financial, and everything.
Everything was a risk.
Everything was a risk. So how did you actually start? Because most people say, oh, I wish that one day I would, or I really should do this, or I think I would be happier if I did whatever it is. I leave this relationship, but then they don't.
Well, I think first off, you have to like identify. I think change is easier and you don't have to be as brave, even though overall there is a bravery, I guess, and a risk involved. But in your mind, if you've hit rock bottom, whatever your rock bottom is, then what do you have to lose? And for me, I never looked at, I have a job or I have all this stuff that I could lose. To me, I'm unhappy.
Right.
That's rock bottom. Not what your bank account looks like or the fact that you got job security, which that one kills me all the time. Like, my parents would have spoken years ago.
Yes.
Not anymore, because now, they see the world through a different lens. But you go back 30 years ago, you talk to my parents, we'll get into a company and they'll protect you. And come on.
That doesn't work
It doesn't
anymore.
work. There's no job security anywhere.
None.
You work for yourself, work for a Fortune 500, work for a mom and pop. Job security does not exist.
Correct.
The landscape changes constantly. The more valuable you can be to anyone at any time, whether you're running your own business or someone else, that's how you get job security.
Yes.
All right. And that still doesn't guarantee nothing because what's happening at other floors behind curtains, you do not know.
Right.
Right. So, sorry, I went off track there.
It's all good. Totally relevant.
So for me, I get very surprised. And I have people that we have relationships with this day, and I always find it very surprising to me how long people will stay. And years. In places we know they're not happy. Work being number one.
Yes.
Relationships, we probably see it, but who knows what goes behind closed doors. I'm not going to judge that.
Agreed.
But when they articulate to you, first person, I hate this. I hate my job. Blah, blah, blah. And you see the soul being sucked in. But they're never willing to make a change. I always find that very, to me, that's super shocking. And I know that we get tied to bills and we get tied to these things. But in my mind, it's like, okay, well, at least start the motion. Start that first step in the staircase. Right. I'm not saying walk in tomorrow and hand in your resignation. Right. I'm saying, okay, well, first, open yourself up to change. That would be the first thing. So for me, there was there was all this risk and there was, separations cost money, leaving employment cost money, this and that. But to me, the bigger risk would have been living another 20 years.
Right.
And wait, you're only around, we get one lap. We get one lap, and I'm not saying, not saying stand at the end of the craps table, and put it all in. Not saying that. No. Be calculated, be smart. I'm not. All those things are important.
Yes.
But work towards happy.
Yes.
And sometimes I got to remind myself. It's funny. It's not like that moment. And I'm so curious. Leslie, to like when your season drops.
Yes.
To hear these conversations with other people.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of it, I'm sure we're all going to be able to relate and pull.
Absolutely.
But there's also going to be stuff where there's probably a lot of stuff I've never heard before I can learn from, because I'm curious with the other guests you have, if they have to go back, you get these achievements and the career starts going, and now, you know, it's like, oh, well, I did what I set out to do. Mm-hmm. So do you get lazy on these things that you learned when you were at rock bottom, or when you had your moment, or when that day happened and pushed you over the edge, however it happens? Because I have moments where I'm going back down the same dark holes that I went down, and I need reminders, and now I've got like a great support system that gives me the back of the hand and says, whoa, I mean, like, you know, because one of the things I said to you before today was one of the big things at 33 was I have to be passionate about it. Like, I have to want to do it, be passionate about it, really care about it. Mm-hmm. Because, and I'm not going to do it for money. Well, that sounds
great.
Really, right?
Until the bill collector comes.
Right.
Yeah.
And at the time it worked, the decision. But again, I wasn't,
I
think I was like having some kind of weird kind of bipolar, not that I'm bipolar, but it felt like this crash of emotions where, like, it's almost like you're not even recognizing like the risk and whatnot involved, right? Where you're like, I'm not doing stuff for money anymore. Well, I'm going to do it if I'm passionate about it, right? But you know what? I think what I really meant to say was, if your heart is not there, if you have lost the pride and the care, then it's time to change. Yes. Okay? So it's easy to say, oh, if I'm not passionate about it, I'm not doing it. I think that comes off aloof. I think what I mean is, when you lose pride in your work, when you lose pride in yourself, when you lose the care of the end result, those are warning signals in every part of your life that it's time to make a change. And that's probably a more articulate way of putting it. And there are moments in time in my career right now where I find myself doing something and I went, you did this for the check. Right. What are you doing? Yeah. There was moments with Golf Talk Canada through the pandemic we've always prided ourselves at Golf Talk Canada. And this is something I learned back from my time with the Masters in Augusta National and their representation in Canada, is that if you want to present a platinum environment and you want to be considered up here, you have to associate with the brands up here. Agreed. And if you look at Golf Talk Canada, Adidas, TaylorMade, Picton Investments, Cadillac, Tourism Ireland, Casa de Campo, right? I'm missing a bunch of our relationships. They're all fantastic, right? Yes. Bushnell. Right. It's the top person of their classes, right? I'm not saying they don't have comparables, but we are dealing with the best of the best. Absolutely. And with Golf Talk Canada, you own that space. It's not a PGA Tour broadcast. No. You don't turn it on and there's one car company and then another car company and then a golf company and a golf. No. You're a partner. You're family. Part of it, yes. You own a piece of the show with us. And we only work with brands that we believe in, and we only work with brands that we consider up here. Up here. And then the pandemic hits. Yeah. No one's spending money. Right?
I was going to say, there's no sponsorship money just sitting there. There's no blank check.
And I find myself in places and relationships out of survival that might not necessarily have fit the model. Right. And in moments of weakness and in moments of fear. Yes. You know, I can't remember who said this to me. I'm apologize if anyone's watching or listening and you told me this. I'm not quoting you. But someone told me once that no good decisions come from fear. Yes. And I went, and looking back on that, makes sense. But those are those moments where I'm back. I'm not the guy at 33 years old in 2008, 2009 making those choices. I'm the guy in 25 now. Yes. Making that choice, right? Yes. And I'm like, hold on a second, Mark. I think we were like 45, 46, 47 at the time. Reset. Right. What? Whoa. So You have to have self-awareness,
Yes.
and hopefully you have people helping you with self-awareness.
Yes. Well, and having the right circle of people who will call you on it, and who, I mean, I call it like our silent board of directors. Mark and I have this group of people. They don't even know that they're part of our board of directors. But we've got, you know, the financial people, we've got the cheerleaders, we've got the BS callers, right? Those that we go to say, hey, we've got an idea. And they could say, hey, that's a great idea. But they could equally say, okay, so Les, we need to talk. That's not going to work. But here's how you can redo it, right? And I think it's about surrounding yourself with the right people that are going to call you out. But first it has to start with you, right? Understanding exactly what you're up to. So part of the move, obviously there was the personal life, there was a professional life, there was really everything. You then said, I'm actually going to start this golf show.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll just wing it, we'll see how it goes. But you did what you always do, which is you lead with passion and enthusiasm that, quite frankly, are unmatched. So I would love if you would tell us a story of how you started Golf Talk Canada.
It's funny.
Spectacular.
Well, it's hard to believe. And it doesn't make sense. I'm like, you did that? Like, what are you doing? So the first thing with Golf Talk Canada is it wasn't Golf Talk Canada. I didn't know what it was. All I knew is that in the Canadian landscape, and at the time in the American landscape as well, it's changed now in the US with certain podcasts that have come over the years. But no one at the time was covering golf or talking about golf the way we talk about other sports.
Yes.
You know, I was just joking with you and Mark on the way in because I'm a big Leaf fan as well, and I know you guys are big Leaf fans.
The big chair out front, give us away, yeah.
The license plate.
Yes. Oh gosh, yes, that too.
And I'm a huge Leaf fan as well, right? And we're so passionate about Leafs. And we get so angry and so opinionated. Everybody had an opinion on Marner, right? Everybody had an opinion on why Matthews didn't look like a 60-goal scorer. And we have no problem saying it. And you listen to sports talk radio for the last gazillion years.
Right.
No one has a problem with an aggressive opinion, with something passionate. With any other sport, you listen to hockey, they talk like we're sitting around the 19th hole having beers, and we are just, I can't believe they just wasted 3 hours of my life with that performance and da-da-da. Golf? No. Golf was
very prim and proper. Yes.
Right? And I thought to myself, let Jim Nantz be Jim Nantz, because no one's going to do it as good as Jim. He's, by the way, like nicest gentleman, class act, legend.
Yes.
So why is everybody else in the golf community trying to do their version of Jim Nantz? That's ridiculous.
Yes.
Right? Like, I'm like, why isn't anybody talking about golf? Because when my buddies and I sit around and play golf afterwards, and we talk about our round, we talk about the putt you made, we're not talking about it like that.
Yes.
We're talking about the way we talk about other sports.
Exactly.
So I said to myself, we need to do a show like that. We need to do a show where it's okay to have an opinion.
Yeah.
It's okay to call somebody out. And now this is happening all over the place.
All over, yes.
At the time, there was nothing. It was very stiff, very
prim and proper.
Prim and proper. So I had this idea. No, I want to do a show where we're going to talk about golf the way we talk about every other sport.
Yes.
And at the time, Bell Media purchased the Chum radio network coast to coast across Canada. If you remember 1050 Chum, for those of you who live in Toronto, but Chums were everywhere. They were old classic music stations, 1050 Chum, you know, like that.
Well done.
There we go. Somewhere, you know, AM dials across the coast. And it was announced very quickly, it almost felt like it came from nowhere, that Bell Media was buying the Chum radio network and turning them all sports talk radio the next day, flipping the switch. And they launched as an all sports radio, national radio brand. You got to keep in mind too, this is well before podcasts.
Yes.
Right? This is like, podcast wasn't even in the thought, it wasn't on the bingo card, right?
Yeah.
So I got it in my head after listening to about a month of TSN radio. I was really enjoying it. I liked it. It was different than the other player in the marketplace at the time.
Right.
I'm going to call him.
Yeah, of course.
And
why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you? Why would you, after you've just completely blown up your entire life? So I leave, I call the switchboard at the Bell, which was, I guess, the old Chum building down on Richmond Street in Toronto. And I say, I'd like to speak to the general manager of TSN Radio. Who is this? Mark Zecchino. I'm calling. Mark Zecchino, I'm in the golf business. I've represented Augusta National and the PGA Tour in Canada on their broadcast for many years. I'd like to speak to blah, blah, blah. Just trying to.
Yeah.
Because it's not a lie. It's what I was doing. I was doing it through an independent other company in Canada.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was doing it for many years. Mm-hmm. And I needed to get through the wall.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. Past the gatekeeper.
Right. So I get a voicemail from a gentleman named Brian Baker, who was the vice president of the radio network at the time, who is still a friend to this day.
Amazing.
Love bakes. So lucky, it's not like I walk through life with blinders on with the amount of bounces and luck involved in this story and this change. So, but I do think a lot of it starts with your energy, right?
Yes,
in here.
definitely.
That's like what you're projecting, right?
Absolutely.
Because I got lucky. I got a voicemail of someone who, tremendous character, tremendous honesty, someone who does what they say they're going to do, someone who follows up, someone who cared about the launch of that network and the product involved. And the other fluke, someone obsessed with golf.
Okay, so that always helps, right?
So that helps too, right?
Because when you find another golfer, there's an automatic.
Totally.
Yeah.
So what happened, of course, when you're launching an all-sports station, you don't have time to cover golf. You're not going to get into golf and tennis and Formula One, even though the fans of those sports are very passionate.
Yes.
You got to handle Big Four. You're in Toronto. They're talking Leafs first and foremost, Jays, Raptors, NFL, and then they sometimes arbitrarily CFL.
Yeah.
Canadian have to, etc. And TSN actually does very well with the TV content of CFL, out of the ballpark,
really
right?
good,
which is fantastic. You ain't talking golf. So about 4 or 5 weeks into the launch of TSN, I get through the gatekeeper and I leave this voicemail for Brian Baker. Hi, Mark Zecchino. I've represented Augusta National and PGA Tour. They're broadcast in Canada. I love your network. Would love to do a golf show. Don't want a paycheck. Not looking for a job. Looking for a partnership. Please call me back. I made it very clear. Not looking for a job. Not looking for a pay. Because I'm sure they were probably getting hit up by a bunch of radio talent.
Yes.
Which I am not. At the time. Never did a broadcast of anything in my life. Always very comfortable on a mic speaking.
Right.
I was always the guy who, in the 20s was the MC of all the weddings.
Right.
Was always me. At school, in high school, and into college, if there was something that had to be hosted in an auditorium, it was always me.
You, yes.
So there was that part of me that was always very comfortable. But I'm not a broadcaster. There's a difference to what we're doing here.
Exactly.
Like being able to have a really good conversation, follow-up questions, find where's the story and stuff like that, right? How to structure a show. Because unlike this format, which is awesome, and I wish Golf Talk Canada had a format like this, we have to hit outs.
You do.
Create commercial, make sure commercial inventory. There's things going on there. So this is all part about, building a radio show, which I had
zero idea.
For some reason believed I could do this.
Right.
But based on nothing. Literally, it's based on the same values of me being able to go across the road to the basketball net across the road in your neighborhood and telling you, I can dunk that.
I got
it's
that.
based on the same.
Totally got that.
Right. So, left that voicemail. About 2 days go by and it was kind of crickets. And I get a call back. I think it was day 3. And it was Brian Baker. And Bake says to me, I got your voicemail, why don't we come down and have a coffee? So I come down and have a coffee. And filling time with chatting has never been an issue for me, as you would know. And I decided I was just going to go in there and lay it all on the table. Yeah. And I also figured the more I talk, the better to build out what the plan would be.
What the platform could be.
Because if I let openings and time gaps in this first meeting, the question of, so how much radio experience do you have? Or how many shows? I didn't want that question to come up. Because I just assumed it would come up. Now, after the fact, becoming friends with Brian over the years, I don't think that was ever part of the question. I think he was reading me in the room. He knew he was such a radio veteran. He had such a successful radio career up until that point. He had instincts. He knew who could do a show. He knew who couldn't. And if there was going to be revenue involved, we were checking boxes along the way here, right? And again, he loves golf. I don't know that at the time, by the way, that he was a golf addict. We've traveled together for golf over the years now and whatnot. So anyway, make a long story short, I give him the pitch. You need a golf show.
Right.
I said, I could bring in the sponsorship. I've been selling sponsorships for golf since 1999, so about a decade-ish, maybe just over. I said, my relationships are strong.
Yes.
Which we can probably get into later. Absolutely. As to why I think my relationships are strong. And I'd love to come do this show. And we'll just do a rev share. We'll be partners. Bell Media and Mark Zecchino will be partners, and we'll do a rev share. You know, here's how I see it. Your obligations are, you got to do the technical production because I don't know how to hit switches and do these types of things.
Right.
And you need to give me the platform because I don't have a radio signal. And I will like construct the show, book the guests, figure out what it is, like what is the show, and bring in the revenue. I'll be the advertising guy. And along the way too, I'll try to look for marketing relationships outside the Bell Media family, like which we've done over the years now. We look back now over, was it 16 or 17 seasons of Golf Talk Canada, and it's like, you know, we have, you know, marketing relationships with, you know, PGA of Canada and Golf Canada and First Tee program, who we are a huge supporter of. And Golf Away Tours, who is our travel partner, and stuff like that. So we have marketing relationships as well, where we feel that we're speaking to the same core audience, and doing these things together is better for the sport, better for us. And if there's a way of giving back somehow to the kids, to the juniors, then we just absolutely. Why aren't we doing this? Right. So I went in, and so my closing pitch was, I know how this works. You give me 1 hour demo, it either sounds good and we have a second meeting, or there's hope and we have a second meeting, or we strike out. I go, so I don't want to waste any more of your day. I know how busy you are, so let's just figure out that demo time.
So good. So good.
So next week, he says, okay, come down next week. I'm going to give you, your producer's Adam Karch, my first producer. Adam's a great guy, veteran radio producer. But you've got to book the show. You got to tell them what the show is. Like, you've got to structure this thing. And I've been racking my brain who my guests were, and I can't remember. I remember I had 2 guests. I set it up like this. Segment 1 was going to be like news and headlines, which we're still doing to this day. It's segment 1. What are like the 3 main bullets in the world of golf that we have to hit? Hot topics. That was segment 1. Segment 2 was a guest. Segment 3 was a guest from different walks of life. Maybe one's professional golf, maybe one, like on the tour, maybe one's a Canadian golf story, something like that. I remember Kevin Thistle, who's the president of the PGA of Canada, who at the time was general manager of Angus Glen and was comfortable with what does it take to deliver an RBC Canadian Open to the public. Like, what's involved with that? So that was, Kevin came and talked about our national championship and behind the scenes. And then the final segment was, you know, just what's coming up next week in the world of golf. And maybe on what's on next week's show, which was completely fictional.
Doesn't matter.
It's like, the tour's going to be in Memphis to kick off the FedEx Cup playoffs. The top 50 will go to the BMW Championship. On next week's show, we're going to speak to and be visited by Mike Tirico. All right, all coming next week on Golf Talk Today. Or actually, the demo was because my wife gave me one of the sweetest birthday gifts ever. I don't even know how she found it, but it was a significant birthday. I think it was like 40, might have been like 10 years ago or something like that. She found the original. This is how old this is. It was the DVD, like the CD that they print the actual demo on.
No way.
Not a digital file. Like it was actual CD, and it says TSN 1050 on it, and it says demo. 2009 or whatever the year was. Golf Talk Ontario demo. Golf Talk Ontario.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So I do this demo. About a week goes by. Crickets. So I'm like, no, something new. I guess I ain't gonna go. Right? I ain't gonna.
Next.
And the phone rings, and it's Brian. He's like, it's probably a Wednesday, I'm guessing. He's like, you gotta be down here by Friday. I'm like, all right, what's going on? You sign this contract. This is September, I'm going to say, August or September. He says, you can sign this contract by January. You're in every market across Canada. The TSN has a station. It's Golf Talk Canada. Get down here and sign this.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Gun goes off, and it was insane ever since. And then a couple of years later, it was like, if this model worked on radio, why can't it work on TV? Then Bob Weeks becomes, and I had I did a show by myself for a while, and then they gave me a budget for a co-host, so I was able to ask Jim Taddy if he'd join.
Yes,
and it was such an honor working with Jim, because he's a legend.
He is
and he's the nicest guy, and he loves golf too. And then Bob decides to walk away from his long position at SCORE and become a full-time member of the TSN Golf family. So at that point, and now TV's involved, and now major golf broadcasts involved, and this like little show is now being kind of dragged along with this huge footprint of major championship golf and PGA Tour golf on TSN. They're like, all right, Mark, this is how the world looks now moving forward. And it was like this huge TV schedule and all these extra things. And it's like, okay, Bob's our full-time TSN golf analyst. And I've always known Bob over the years and was always friendly. But I didn't, like, we weren't friends because we just never had the time to like know each other, right? It was like passing ships at the Masters.
Absolutely.
Hey Bob, how are you? Hey Mark, how are you? Good. How's the golf game? Not bad. Both lefties.
Yes.
We also had a lot of common friends because Bob plays out of golf at Weston, and I knew so many mutual friends away. So it was always like had stuff to talk about. And Bob, if anyone's ever encountered Bob in anything, like this is like one of the best gentlemen we have.
Oh, he's such a gentleman. Such a nice man.
Yeah. So. But then it's like, okay, you two figure out a way to work together. Go, off you go. You're co-host.
And you're done.
Go. And it worked immediately.
Yes.
It worked immediately because I think we're both trying to always support the system. Like neither one of us were ever in it for, like, you know, in our world and talent. I was never talent. In my mind, I was like building.
Yes.
Like architectural. The camera, the mic. That's the easy part, like for me. Like that was like, okay, we have to do this because if we're not creating the content and doing this, then all this stuff back here that we built, no, that doesn't matter. We need to fill this. So for me, I was like a piece of the puzzle in front. I was not like, it wasn't like put the camera on me or put the microphone on me. So, and Bob is exactly the same way. Bob's about the quality of the content and the news and the conversation. It's never about Bob. And actually TSN is very lucky in that sense. It might come from the top down. You know, Ken Volden is our senior vice president of the production side, and we do a really good job in culture at TSN. Like there's not many, you know, God complexes because there's a camera on them, which happens a lot in TV and stuff.
I can only imagine.
The culture at TSN is actually like, and listen, I'm one step removed as an independent, and I'm just a golf guy. I don't get to, you know, do Trade Center or this or that. But you know, James Duffy is our like number one anchor, and you couldn't find a nicer, more down to earth human being.
Super genuine.
Right, super genuine. So it comes from the top down, I think, with our leadership right down through, and just to circle back, Bob, who's been doing it for, you know, 10, 15 years longer than I have, probably more. I think Bob's first Canadian Open was in the late 80s or early 90s.
Ooh.
Yeah. So probably 20 years more than I am.
Yes.
But he started early, I started late too. We're not that far apart in age.
Right.
Bob's only cares about the end result and supporting the whole thing. So it worked right away. And the other reason it worked right away is not because we were both being honest to what the goal is. The other reason it worked right away, we couldn't be more different, I think, in the way we, like Bob's remember, Bob is a veteran reporter.
Yes.
And a storyteller. He's a writer at heart.
Yes.
Right? He's like an award-winning novelist, and you know, people come to him to put pen to paper, right? I'm just a talking head. I got opinions, and you got to hear those opinions, right? Now, fast forward 17 years later, now I'm a veteran broadcaster because I actually ended up, you know, graduating into, you know, really difficult professional global broadcast positions with PGA Tour Radio, PGA Tour Live, on the Masters desk with Bob and Graham, and you know, these are things. But that was after the fact, you know. kind of just kick. You're not going to deny me.
Yeah.
Because I think I know more, right?
Yeah.
And the problem with that is when you've never hit a golf shot on the PGA Tour,
Yes.
you better be able to back that up with some data. So I've always been very good at, like I never wanted to be, this is what I think, and then lay out.
Right.
Because Mark, what you think doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't win nothing. You didn't,
Right.
you know. This is what I think, because this is what the numbers tell
Or
me.
tell you.
Right.
Yes.
This is what the data suggests.
Okay.
And this is what they've done, and this is what history tells us.
Mm-hmm.
So I think as long as I always had that angle, it was always okay. And it's proven to be okay.
Absolutely.
And I've gone harder
It's
to
been more than okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I've been harder to that hoop on things like Masters
Mm-hmm.
and PGA Tour Live when you're in a host role and you're sitting there and you're analyst
Yes.
is a 4 or 5 time PGA Tour winner. And that player's like, why do I don't want to, you're a host. I don't want an opinion from you. Why do you have an opinion? Or why did you ask me that question? I mean, you're here to throw to commercial.
Right.
You'd be amazed at some of the way not all of them, some of
Yes.
them, we work with some of the nicest human beings on the planet. But once in a while, there's that player
I can only
that
imagine.
has that, you never hit it inside the ropes. You don't get, but when you quickly flip them with, well, actually, because of these numbers here, strokes
Yes.
gained this, historically speaking that, in comparison to Duval in '01.
Right.
Now it's like,
Oh, okay.
oh, actually, I didn't read up on any of the notes, and I'm just giving you opinion because I play golf on tour. Now
Right.
it's like almost like
It's a power shift.
power
in some
shift.
way.
Now I would never.
No,
and by the
yes.
way, I'm speaking on my entire career, maybe 2 occasions we're talking about, because I'm again super lucky to be in the PGA Tour entertainment family. We're surrounded by nothing but good people as
Right,
well.
right.
We're talking about like literally 2
Yeah.
incidents in almost 20 years of a broadcast
That's quite
career.
amazing.
Yeah.
That
So I've been
speaks
very
volumes.
lucky because I talk to colleagues that have come from other parts of the world,
Yes.
whether it be local NBC affiliates or CBS affiliates in the US or other sports brands here in Canada, and they tell me stories that you would not believe happened on set.
I
That
bet.
would be jaw-dropping. And I don't have any of those. I don't have
That's
any
amazing.
stories about talent slapping a camera person. I don't have stories about talent berating producers and dropping
Yeah, no.
offside language. I have nothing.
We don't need
Zero.
any of that. Right.
But now
Sure
I do think fast forward to 2025, the world's smarter, it's better.
Yeah,
We're
definitely.
just. But you go back to old school media, like 20 years ago when I first started, there was so much of that.
That's so crazy.
There was so much of that. You know that famous clip that goes viral with Bill O'Reilly that used to be Fox News and the way he spoke to me. I don't think, like, obviously Bill got roasted for
Yeah,
that, and likely
absolutely.
so, but I don't think that was as rare as
you
what
would like
people
to
think it was. I just think that time the camera was rolling and
It was
someone
rolling.
was willing to cut it. And
Yes,
send it out there.
exactly.
Well, so yeah, so I guess to put a bow on it,
Yes.
I'm very lucky just from a culture standpoint. Super lucky to be where I am,
That's amazing.
and don't take that at all for granted. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah.
That's awesome. So you're also on PGA Tour Radio.
Yeah.
So I've had the benefit of walking with you at a golf tournament. It was at the RBC Canadian Open a few years ago when you were doing the play-by-play. And I have literally no idea how you do it because you're walking the course. So you're watching what's happening. You're talking to people like you were actually having a conversation with me. Meanwhile, in your headset, I don't know how many voices there were. And so, first of all, how did you get into PGA Tour Radio? And then how challenging is that because you've got all these voices and then you need to say something intelligent
Yeah.
as opposed to gibbledygook.
It's funny because the story about PGA Tour Radio is just as funny as the Golf Talk Canada story.
Nice.
But to get back to the production side, so if you come out to the Canadian Open next year, dear friend of mine, Dr. Jay Petrov, he's a dear
Okay,
friend.
yes.
He drives through my PGA Tour
He
radio
is.
card every year, and he's got a radio with an earpiece
Okay.
where you hear the back end. So you hear the raw stuff that I'm hearing in my headset. So if you come out next year, you got to throw this on.
I'd love that.
You got to hear it, because some people hear it and they just go, They instantly hand it.
Right.
Don't want anything.
Like, I've got enough voices in my head. Thanks
Right.
so much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So I truly mean this with all due respect to everybody I work with, and everybody I know at CBS and NBC as well, who I've worked with over the years. They're now part of like the big network team, right? Which is like everybody's like end goal in the business, right? The PGA Tour radio team that is produced by Alan Trexler and executive producers Dave Logan, they're the same two guys that have run the whole thing since the day I started. It is the best team in all of golf, and I want to say in all sports production, because of the moving parts. We've got, you think about covering 18 holes,
Right.
no visuals. We got a host in one part of the world, an analyst that might be with that host but could be in another part of the world. We've got 3 people on the ground, right, or 1 person off site and 2 people on the ground depending on the time of the year. There's a lot of, moving parts. We've got to produce. So those voices can be talking at any time. They could be live. They could also be on tape because you can't be 18 holes at the same place at the same time. Okay. Alan Trexler, who we call Trex, he's directing this traffic of tree. So it's not like baseball where there's a pitcher and a batter and they're a field and we're covering. No. You're covering 18 baseball games at once is what you're covering. Okay. Where are you going and why? Like, why are we going there before there? There's a timing thing involved. There's also people that may be watching for things on monitors that we can't be physically in front of our eyes, that we're timing TV, because we'll call it off a monitor if we can't get to it physically, right? He's like mastering all that. While all that's going on, the host and the analysts are talking, plus the other play-by-play announcers. So at any point, you could have 4 or 5 voices, plus the producer, plus the assistant producer, Kelly, who is supporting the whole thing, and Ben, who's supporting the whole thing. You got Kelly and Ben, who are, dropping, cutting clips and making sure the things on tape are inserted in time and cut. And I mean, it is mass chaos. And then you put on our radio broadcast and you listen to it in the car.
And
you listen
you
to
would never know.
Sounds like any other radio broadcast
Right.
with just a little bit more energy.
Yes.
Because we don't have pictures.
Right, and so
we
you
have
need
to bring it, right?
Yeah.
And we all do such a great job. My crew behind the scenes is as good as it's the best production. I don't know how they do it. But my guys that I work with, I am like blessed to be. Now there's a couple of guys on the team now, mine and Jeff, who are younger guys, newer guys, and they're doing a great job, and we've injected some youth in the team. But I remember when I first started, there was, myself, Will, and Kevin, and we were like the kids on the team, right? And we had veterans like, Doug Bell, Fred Albers, Bill Rosinski, like just kind of go, Mark Carnival was no longer with us. Carney, we lost a year ago. Just go, here's how you do it. Like, support, not come here to cut my grass, kid, right? Who are you? Why are you here doing this, right? Just super supportive, dear friends to this day. Everybody on my radio team is not a colleague, they're a friend. Like Bob and I.
Yes,
right,
right,
they've
exactly.
Exactly. We travel together, we have each other's backs, we want just the product to be the best. We know how hard a job it is, so it's important to be supportive because the job's hard. And it can be lonely. I'm very lucky now because Heather travels with me, right? My wife travels with me, but pre-pandemic, I was out there, you're alone. You're out there all the time, eating bad meals. Yeah. It's your radio, PGA Tour radio road family. Our engineer, Jaime and Patrick and Joe, they're all part of the family. And they're all part of that. Without any of them, the whole thing comes crashing down because there's so many moving parts. And if you don't hold up your part of it, it's an absolute nightmare, right? It's a disaster. But it ends up being what I think is the best product out there. I really do. And I'm just so lucky to be a part of it. But to ask the other question there, how funny it was, I got flagged by somebody at the time at the Canadian. This is how long ago this is. It was the Canadian Tour, not PGA Tour Canada.
Oh, okay.
Not PGA Tour Americas.
Okay.
The Canadian Tour, which is an existing.
So that's totally dating. Yeah.
I got flagged by the Canadian Tour for using clips of PGA Tour radio and using the PGA Tour image and whatnot in marketing content for Golf Talk Canada and in marketing initiatives for Golf Talk Canada.
Oh.
because on the Golf Talk Canada website, it had a row of and our marketing partners.
Right.
And put the PGA Tour logo because it was PGA Tour and PGA Tour radio logo because we used their content on Golf Talk Canada, and when we used it, it was always compliments of PGA Tour radio. That we'd always give them the kudos of this is where we're getting from, and thank you for getting it. And the reason I was allowed to do that without cutting a check to the PGA Tour was because I had relationships with the PGA Tour for years, forever. Right. And I went to them in advance and told them, listen, I'm doing this with your TV rights holder in Canada, with their radio side of things. Right. And I just want to use the audio in the show, so when I'm doing news and headlines, I can go, let's hear from Adam Scott on his win at the Barclays. Right. We play it, da-da-da. So, of course, I reached out to my tour contacts, and they're like, yeah, Mark, no problem. Go ahead.
Perfect.
Great. So, I don't know, year 2, year 3, I get a cease and desist letter from PGA Tour headquarters. All right, what's that? So I call the gentleman back. His name was Jeff Monday. And if you go back, Jeff Monday was the original commissioner, the first commissioner of PGA Tour Canada. Right. And Jeff, by trade, was a lawyer. He was a lawyer for the PGA Tour. I don't know how many lawyers the PGA Tour has on staff, but I'm guessing it's quite a bit.
More than one.
So I get a cease and desist letter, and I reach out to Jeff, and I'm one part very nervous and scared, and the other part I'm very kind of peeved that someone at the PGA Tour Canada would go out of their way to try to flag our show. So I was angry too. But I said, hi Jeff, got this letter, this is who I am. And you could tell the tone was very, right away. It's like, well, so you have to let them know. Well, okay.
That's a pretty good impression of a lawyer.
Smithers, it was our Smithers, right? So I said, no problem, Jeff, complete. But before I start tearing down, because I got to, speak to my web person, they got to, we're going to, do you want me to go into the archives and tear down that? I mean, there's a lot involved. Before you do this, have you spoken to, and I gave him 4 or 5 names, right? First name I gave him was a gentleman, George Amir, who's still a dear friend of mine, no longer works at the tour, but he was the head of the international production for PGA Tour for a long time. And no, I haven't spoken to any of them. I said, okay, well, just do me a favor. Can I buy 48 hours? Can you just reach out to the people I told you to reach out, speak to them, and if you come back to me in 48 hours and it's still, you got to do this, no problem at all. Right. So not even 48 hours, a day goes by, and I hear from Jeff, and the tone is completely changed. Yeah. Hey, Mark, it's Jeff Monday. So super nice guy, Jeff Monday. Yes. Right? Here's the thing, I didn't know, sometimes with a really big organization, sometimes the left hand isn't talking to the right hand. We've all been there. And I spoke to, go ahead, I didn't realize we had relationships that go back to 1999 and blah, 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 blah. And thank you for supporting the product in Canada. And
so good.
Off you go. I said, great. Hey, Jeff, why I have you? Always good to ask the favor. And now I said, he feels bad. He feels bad. Let's ask a favor. I said, now that I have you, listen, I'm a huge fan of PGA Tour Radio. I have it on my car all the time, blah, 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 blah. Would it be possible for you to introduce me to the gentleman that runs PGA Tour Radio? Well, sure, no problem at all. Great. So I get an introduction to the gentleman, Dave Logue, who's still my boss, who still runs, executive producer of all the digital side of the PGA Tour, and our radio product. And I connect with Dave, and I go to Dave. It was really interesting because my attitude about PGA Tour Radio is: if you're listening to golf on the radio, you're an addict. You're the 1%. You are. And at the end of our PGA Tour Radio broadcast back in those days, they would run a repeat of our broadcast. There was no wrap-up show. Right. So I said to myself, if you're an addict, there's no way that you are listening to the replay not knowing what happened. I mean, you know who won, you know by how many, you know if it's their first win of the season, you know what this does for their playoff chance, you know everything, because you're an addict. You're not a casual sports fan. So I said, my kind of pitch to Dave was very similar to my pitch to Baker. if you're listening to PGA Tour radio, I'm like, you're an act. You ain't listening to replay. No one's listening to that.
Right.
It's got zero, audience. You need a wrap-up show. I'm not looking for a paycheck. I'm looking for a partnership.
There's a theme here. Got it.
Let's go find the money.
Yes.
And let's just do a revenue share. And I think Dave at the time kind of looked at me, so like, who's this guy from Canada?
Right.
Who, by the way, got on a plane and flew down to do this. Because I'm like, I'm old school like that,
Yep.
Les.
In
I'm
person.
like, if it means something,
Right. Let's do it.
let's not do it via Zoom. I still do Zoom a bunch of time. The world has to work that way.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about, hey, we're getting into bed together and I'm asking you to put some faith in me, I'm getting on a plane.
Right. There's face to face. Totally get it.
So I get on the plane and I go, I don't think he believed me. And I think, I don't know, we're going to call it 30 days, 45 days. I had a check. I had a sponsor at the time of Golf Talk Canada that was crossing the border and opening up a U.S. division. And they were looking for ways of hitting the golf audience, but didn't have the budget to do a CBS or a Golf Channel.
Got it.
How do I hit hardcore my audience, that golf audience that's hardcore, without having to spend $1 million on CBS or whatever?
Yeah.
I got an idea.
I'm going to serve you up.
Right.
So,
And then the wheels go in motion, and that's how the PGA Tour relationship starts. We started with the PGA Tour Sunday night wrap,
okay.
and it had like a late night theme to it, which I loved, right? And they actually like PGA Tour has always been like a very conservative organization, and I was always like trying to push like even the logo. The first logo I had for the PGA Tour was so cool. The PGA Tour Sunday wrap, it was like a Dean Martin undone tuxedo with the hanging bow tie and the rocks glass for the Sunday night wrap. And we used like that big band kind of like late night music. Like the imaging on this thing was so cool for a radio show. We had a landing page on PGAtour.com, and then we had to kind of scale back the logo where they kind of removed the rocks glass and stuff.
Got it. The implications.
Right, and then there was a second concept of just SNR for Sunday night rap being an R instead of a W, right?
Okay,
Sunday night
yes.
rap as in talking. We're rapping. That was like the play on words. And it was in the same kind of font as the Late Show with David Letterman. Too close, they were scared about.
Okay, yes.
We might get a letter from CBS late night saying, "Why are you stealing the Letterman?" But this was like all my imaging on this.
Yeah.
I wanted it to sound a certain way.
Right.
I wanted to get and I ended up getting a gentleman who's passed. Oh my, his name escapes me. But at the time, he was the voice of PGA Tour Radio, who did all the billboards and things.
Okay.
And he passed very shortly after I started with PGA Tour Radio. I love this man's voice. I can't believe his name's escaped me. I actually feel bad about it. Jim something? Anyway, he had that couple packs of smoke, scotch kind of depth.
Right.
And he had that down here, and I'm like, I need this. Because this is like, it's after hours, after dark.
Yes.
It was like, live from Studio 59. It's the PGA Tour Sunday night wrap.
Right.
And it was like, and it mixed so well with the music and the theme.
Good.
And that's how we started. And we ended up doing PGA Tour Countdown and this and that.
Right.
And then PGA Tour decided they were no longer going to produce pregame, postgame. Was going to be part of their Sirius XM package, and Sirius M was going to take that over. And that's when I decided to ask it, okay, like to be part of the play-by-play team. Let's
try something different.
Let's try something like that. And that was, so we did that from 2013 to 2015. In the 2015 RBC Canadian Open that David Hearn had a chance to win on Sunday.
Okay, yes.
That I lived and died with every shot he hit that day. Was my first event. And you would think that 10, 11 years later on the play-by-play team, 11 seasons later on the play-by-play team, that the guy that was living and dying with every shot that David Hearn hit that day, like I was hitting it, like I felt like the nation on his shoulders, and I felt that whole day. 11 years later, I'm the same guy. That never went away. I'm still a fan, huge. Yes. In 2023, when Nick made his putt,
it's incredible.
I will never get to experience. That was the greatest thrill of my life from a professional standpoint.
Yes.
I will never feel that energy again. I will never feel that love from the golf community. Like looking around that green
So good.
with everybody I kind of grew up with there, and the dignitaries and the players and it's like the biggest moment of Canadiana and golf I have ever experienced and will ever experience. And that is pure joy.
Pure.
And it is the same guy that 11 years ago. So I never stopped being like the person I am. Like I am out there cheering and excited, and that's my job on the team. You know, Fred Albers brings great stories. He's like the best storyteller. He's got this control of the language that I don't have. And Bill Ruzinski has the voice where you can read the back of a ketchup bottle. You know, read me more. Read the craft label, right? Everybody brings their part of the team.
Yes.
You know, my job, I've always felt, is to bring the energy. Like, I get people hitting me up on Twitter and stuff, or X, whatever we're calling it. And most of the time I stay away from X because I can't deal with the toxic gets to me, and I'm not good at ignoring things. No. So I try to not get involved. Live over at Instagram. Here's a pretty picture, right?
Yeah.
I like
Look
that.
at the pictures.
Look at me over here, right? I once in a while I'll get, people are so nice. Our radio listenership is so nice. Like, we'll hear stuff like, "Oh, I love listening to Z-Man. He calls it like UFC, or he calls it like Monday Night Raw. Like, I actually feel like I'm there, you know." And so I'm like, I think it's kind of funny. Come full circle to the start of our chat. You go back to our moment.
Yes.
And that thing about the authenticity of not, I'm not doing it for money, right? The authenticity of I care, that I'm passionate, that all those things. It's the same thing there, right? It's the authenticity of broadcasting it, who you are, within the guidelines of how the product has to be looked. But versus, okay, I'm just going to try to do my best Fred Albers, which is going to be brutal because no one can do Fred Albers, or Bill, or Kevin, or whoever it is on our team. Right. Says, no, I'm going to do Mark. And just do that as authentic as I can, and I try to get better every year. Every year I learn something, Les. It's crazy, man. Every year I learn something.
But you have an energy about you that you can't fake, I don't think. And I think, growing up with golf, I started when I was 15, but I've been around golf forever. On TV, it was, you turn it on in the background, like that'll put you to sleep on a Sunday afternoon. It was brutal. And so being able to take that and turn that into a play-by-play and make it exciting, where people are sitting on the edge of their seat, like, did he make the putt? What's happening? What's going on? That's talent.
Thank you.
That's incredible talent.
Thank you.
So it's been a lot.
I appreciate that.
It's really good.
And I think the golf world has changed, right?
Oh, thankfully it has.
And some things are hits and some things are misses, but that's what happens when you're trying stuff, right?
Right.
But I do think, it's weird because I remember when I left that voicemail, there was nothing.
Right.
And now, you know what I always ask myself? Interesting question, my latest question, and it won't change anything I'm doing. But I asked myself, if that conversation I had with myself in 08, 09 had happened in 15 or 16, or 16 and 17, would it have been, let's start a Golf Talk Canada digital landscape with a podcast? And would there have been like a Bell Media, a legacy media concept in my head? If you fast forward 6, 7, 8 years. Because the world now, like even look at Bell Media, Bell Media is focusing on their digital footprint and their podcast inventory, whether it be video or this, that, and of course TSN Plus, our streaming now is, when I first started working for PGA Tour Live, hosting the TV in the US, that was an American product that was primarily available on ESPN Plus.
Okay.
There was I forget the name of the company that had an app that had like a digital footprint, but it kind of went nowhere. No one saw it. And then TSN Plus gets involved. And now TSN Plus is PGA Tour Live, and TSN Plus is like ESPN. You're getting all this amazing content, right? So the world's changed, even with our legacy media, right? They're adapting, they're growing, they're everywhere that they weren't before. So I always ask myself, that would I have made that phone call? Like timing is like...
Is everything.
Yeah.
Is everything. Yes. And it's, you just don't know. And I think if you look back and on your entire journey, it all started with this "Are you happy?" question. So fast forward to today, 2 things for you. 1, I think I know the answer to, but I won't lead the witness. But are you happy? So have you answered that for yourself? And then how would you define happiness?
Ooh, the defining happiness is tough because I think it's so different for so many people.
Agreed. You knew I wasn't going to give you a layup.
Yeah, no. Am I happy? 1,000%
Yes.
1,000% yes. I'm happy with all the people I work for, the people I work with, obviously at home. I mean, I have the best friend in the world I'm married to. Lucky enough to have a wonderful stepson as well. When we started dating, he was 5. He's 22.
Amazing.
How did he get to 22 and I keep staying?
I don't
How do
know.
I stay young? I don't know.
Yeah, look at you. You're still 36.
That's right. I'm not out, right? So yeah, thrilled, so happy. But here's the asterisk of this. It doesn't mean that there's not doubt, and there's there's doubt, and there's moments of burnout, and there's moments of lacks of confidence, and all that stuff. Just because you're happy, I mean, we're people.
Right.
Like, I don't think if you're having doubt and lacks of confidence, if you're not having moments of a lack of confidence or doubt or periods of, I don't know, okay, sadness is a stretch, but periods of like, I'm having an off day.
Right.
For me, often an off day comes with physical burnout or emotional, mental burnout. Then those, so some of these things are sometimes connected for me.
Yes.
I'm not really good at recharging, Mark, and knowing that that's probably a part of your schedule that needs to be scheduled.
Right.
Which I don't do.
Lock that in.
I have like periods of the years, like, oh, December is when I'm going to take care of Mark. Well, that happens to be the only month where there's not an official PGA Tour event,
exactly.
right? Oh, funny how that happened. So it doesn't mean all those things aren't always part in a living, breathing, moving thing. But yes, I am so happy.
Yes.
And then I guess to define happiness, I would have to define it in my own way for me. And I'm proud of what we've accomplished. I say we've because all my family, all my friends, the relationships I got back, the people that came back to me that I thought I lost. Like, so I'm really proud of what we've accomplished. And that includes like the Brian Bakers and all the executives at TSN and Bob and Adam and my team. So that's why it's a weave. So I'm proud. And there's a weird thing in happy, like, I know this is going to sound really weird, but there's like when I asked this question when I was 33.
Yes.
And it was like this big giant no. And this big sadness. Like, if you were to die tomorrow and this is what it is, there's like a sadness to what you've done.
Totally.
And now there's like this weird kind of happiness where if you died tomorrow, are you happy with the person you became? Are you happy with what you achieved? Are you happy with the journey you were on? Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that was not the answer.
No.
And there's also like a rock bottom thing too, I think you answered. Like back then, rock bottom was like if this is it, it was really sad. And I think if tomorrow I woke up and PGA Tour decided they're no longer doing radio, and PGA Tour Live decided that they're no longer doing broadcasts, and TSN was turning into a home life network, and if I don't know how to bake a pie, I've lost my job.
Right.
All those things happen overnight. All those dominoes fall. And you have to reinvent yourself at 50. It doesn't matter.
I would put my money on you.
Thank you, Wes. But it doesn't matter. I'm not scared or I'm not sad because I've got all the people that make me happy. Like,
and that's the core.
Yeah. That's the difference, right? It's like I go to my wife all the time in moments of doubt.
Right.
You know.
Right.
You know, and she's like, and?
So what are you going to do about it?
And and it's like, and if that did happen, you're not employable.
Right.
You don't have any other ideas you've been sitting on.
Yes, exactly.
You're not happy with what we've accomplished or what we have. Like, you know, so as much as aggressive as I can get, I am just equally as much as a self-doubter. And you need those people there.
You do need them.
Right.
Yeah.
So the happiness for me is that like achievement, safety now, pride, but not safety like fiscal safety in the fact that you can like look back and be proud and happy with the achievement and the people you're around. And that is the happiness.
And it's the fact that you know that if all of that went away, if all of those great organizations that you work with went away, you're good.
I'm good.
You're still good.
I'm good.
Right? Because you can reinvent yourself. You've proven that. You can rebuild an entire life if you need to. And with happiness, I think there's the real key is not to be complacent. Right? So you're happy now. You're in a great place. That doesn't mean that you stop pushing yourself or that you stop learning or you assume you've got it all figured out, because that's actually the opposite.
You're 1,000%. So I've got meetings coming up in the next few weeks about just doing some things differently and trying some new things and maybe looking at some expansion for 2026. And it's just, it's weird, but it's not because like, oh, we need to. It's like you say, just if you're not moving forward and you're standing still, you're going backwards, because you're standing still. Everybody else keeps going. Moving. So you're by standing still, you're going in reverse. You got to keep moving. That being said, I will say this: we're getting close, Les. We're getting very close to where I might just be happy sitting on the back of a driving range, fixing somebody's over-the-top move. Going, so you've been slicing it for 30 years? I think I know why, right? I got this, right? Try this. Oh my God, I hit a draw. Yeah, where do I send the invoice, right?
Right, exactly.
So there's always that little part of me as well that, but I'm not going to get there. I'm so far from that. So far from it.
And you continue to contribute so much to the industry. And I mean, honestly, we could talk for days and days.
This is Mark Zecchino part 1.
Yes. Oh, I know. There's like 6 parts to this, I'm sure. Because we could tell so many stories.
Yes, we haven't even got into like old school
stuff. I know, which is amazing.
Which we're gonna have to get people to sign off on before we can tell them.
Yeah, there might be something a bit sketch. I will give you that. So, last question for you.
Yeah.
What would be your words of wisdom for the audience?
I've passed this along to my stepson and anybody who ever comes to me like for guidance or help, young people, etc., which is rare. So maybe I don't give off that vibe. Like, ask me questions, which is
you're too busy. We can't stop you in your tracks.
Maybe I would just say there's a few things. There's like career advice, and then there's life advice. And I would say, from a life advice standpoint for happiness, surround yourself with the best people, including your partner. Okay? Because when you go home at night, that has to be the best part of your day. It has to be the easiest part of your day. When that becomes the hardest part of your day, nothing else in your life is going to work. When going home is the hardest part of your day, nothing else matters. When it's the best part of your day, everything's great.
Right.
So that would be the life advice I would give.
Really good.
The business advice I would give is old school stuff that my dad said to me when I was like this high, and it stuck with me for eternity. My dad was always a sales guy. He was sales manager at Allstate, then vice president of sales, and then he moved to Cooperators, all insurance, and he was vice president of sales over there, and then stayed in that lane. He was always a sales guy. And my dad's advice was, do what you say you're going to do. Yeah. That was number one. And it rings true to this day.
Absolutely.
If you say you're going to do it, and it's part of that, under promise and over deliver.
Yes. Which
is why my relationships were able to go with me throughout life, like you, Les. So we're friends now.
Absolutely.
But back in those days, it was, well, I'm not going to go with Mark because he's my friend. I'm going to go with Mark because back when he came in this office to talk about this and said, we're going to do this, he actually did that.
He totally over.
And then he did it again.
Yeah.
And they,
I agree.
And then now, and that's right. So always do what you say you're going to do.
Right.
Always follow up. You'd be amazed how many people just one email, oh, they never returned. Bye. No phone call. This. And then I got a new one now. So those were like the two big ones always for my dad. Do what you say you're going to do and always follow up. And my new one, and this is for young people, and I'm really proud to say that my son's really good with this one. My stepson, Marcel, is really good with this one. because he's at that age where he lost his end of high school due to the pandemic.
Yes.
And the beginning of university beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And we already were bringing up kids staring at phones and screens before the pandemic. And then we locked them up and said, you remember all those screens? You said, now you're going to stare at them again. There's no prom.
Exactly.
There's no communication. There's no getting together. Just stay, World forced us to do that, right? But now they come out the other side of that. And no one knows how to talk. And no one knows how to communicate unless it's in an email or on that. So my new one for young people is force yourself, even if it's not in your nature, to be comfortable with people in this environment, talking together in a room, in a boardroom, at a company function, on a sales pitch, in a marketing meeting, in a content meeting, whatever it is, be able to connect with people at a personal level and open up and have real conversations and be likable.
Right.
Because sometimes you never know when someone's going to help you in life. I would have gotten nowhere in my entire life by any of these people that have come up in our conversation. I'd have absolutely nothing if people didn't choose to help me.
Right.
Like literally, they're choosing to help me every day. Adam and Bob, as we're recording this, they're choosing to help me. Somehow, some way, they might not even know it, but they're choosing to help me. Because they care, they like me, we have a relationship, we're honest, we're authentic with one another. That would be my third, which is a new one.
Very good.
And it's not that it didn't exist before, because my dad would always say his third one was, it's always easier to be likable.
Right.
And he was saying like what I'm saying, but I think it extends further now because of what our kids just came through.
Right.
That it's a deeper level of that than what was, the old saying was, you can get to the top of the ladder by stepping on people, or get to the top of the ladder by making friends, because you never know who you're going to find as you fall down the ladder. And that's the old way of saying it, right? But I think the layers of that go so much deeper post-pandemic. So those would be that's my three for the youth.
Those are three are very, very good words of wisdom. So that's really good.
Yeah.
Mark, it is always.
Did I talk
always a pleasure. We're fantastic. Like, you're so great, so personable. It has been an absolute pleasure having you here today. And more than anything, it is an honor to continue to consider you a friend. And I just keep standing by the wayside watching, like, what's the next thing you're going to come up with? So stay tuned, and I'm sure there's more coming around the corner. But
and if there is, you'll always be a part of it. I value our friendship, and you've always been there for me. And I can't wait to see this next chapter with you. And it doesn't matter where I am and all the people that we have known over the years together, there isn't a person on the planet that can say anything negative about you. It's always, people love you. And they talk so highly of you. And I think I am one of many, many, many people sitting back and loving to see you happy, you and Mark, doing your thing. Can't wait to see you do next. So
that's awesome.
So likewise, my friend.
There we go. It works both ways. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And to everybody watching and listening, I will see you on the next episode. Thank you. Thank you for joining me today. I hope this story resonated and gave you something to reflect on. If it did, please share it with someone you care about. And be sure to subscribe so you can continue to hear more pivotal stories involving one question, one turning point, one powerful story. Join me next week with another guest on the Leslie Hawkins Podcast.